the New 80s Revolution with Jason Nupp, a one-and-all show full of fun where anything can and does happen. Pickups, fan mail, toy reviews, camping with the New 80s Revolution Jr. Whatever the heck else does not fit into a specific category, Jason covers it right here, folks. And now, the host of the New 80s Revolution, Jason Nupp.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's Jason Nupp's New 80s Revolution, and we continue on with the Christmas-themed episodes. That's right. We have talked about my top favorite Christmas movies. Yes, we've done that. We have gone through a 1984 Sears Wish Book page by page of the toy section, and that's generated some good comments and some good discussion. And now we are continuing. Tonight, I'm excited for this one. Tonight we're going to talk about the New 80s Revolution's Grails. My toy Grails, the Grails that must be in this collection for me to be satisfied with this collection. Tonight we talk about those. Yes, I'm still rocking the Target Christmas jammies. We're going on about 2 weeks with these. And, they're a little crisp, a little crispy, little, a faint odor coming from them. But you know what? It's Christmas. Yes, I could wash them, I know. Yes, I could get other pairs, but, these are just working on me. They're working. All right, so, Grails. What are Grails? If you've watched the channel, you know that there are differences between Grails and Holy Grails. You see, Holy Grails are like that item that's, out of most people's reach, right? I guess a boxed USS flag could be considered a Holy Grail. They are about, I saw one last night, actually, coincidentally, on the bay for $8,995 boxed. Now, it claimed to be sealed, but who knows? So $9,000. I think we could probably get a loose, flag for about $1,200, and then I think we could probably grab the box for another $600-700 if we tried. So $8,995 is silly and will never happen. And but $2,000 down the road, possible. Another Holy Grail for me would be the probably the AWA Battle Royal playset. That's up to $1,000 now. Not super out of reach, but so those are Holy Grails, right? Those things that are just, you don't really see them, and they're expensive. Grails, a Grail item could be a $5 item. A Grail is just something that I haven't bought yet, something that I've always wanted, or a piece of memory from my childhood that just came back to me. When I was making this list, I had one thing that just came back to me. Grails are not out of reach; they're just out of mind, right? I haven't thought about them. I said I'll get them eventually, and just forgot about them. But these are items that will be in this collection. In fact, when I made this list, I said we were going to add items that I would get in 2021. So we will definitely be adding some of these items in 2021. All right. As you can see, there's some items here on the table. These are accessories, furniture, figures, globies. From the Pee-wee's Playhouse. And again, if you've been watching the channel, you've known that I have wanted and needed a Pee-wee's Playhouse for some time now. And that is the number one item on my, not the top item, I'm not ranking these, but that's the first item on my Grail list. Earlier this year, in the middle of the COVID, I found somebody on Facebook Marketplace that was selling a batch of Pee-wee's Playhouse accessories, and I did kind of a quick comparison, and it seemed to be all of the accessories, and she was selling them for $20, And so I drove about 45 minutes and grabbed them. So I have half of Grail number 1, the Pee-wee's Playhouse. Apparently, I thought I had all the figures. Apparently, there's 2 more figures that I don't have, slightly more rare, not expensive. There's a soccer player Carlos, maybe Ricardo, I'm not sure. I think it's Ricardo. And then there's another a second figure that I don't have that I can't remember. So I'll have to go and make sure I get them all. Those are cheap. But a Pee-wee's Playhouse. I want a Pee-wee's Playhouse. I want a boxed Pee-wee's Playhouse. Certainly not a sealed Pee-wee's Playhouse, but I would like a boxed Playhouse because the box is beautiful. The box is part of the collection to me, part of the package. Which would make probably for an interesting situation because if I get one boxed, there's probably a good chance that most, if not all, of the accessories are there. So I'll have double accessories to give away. So a Pee-wee's Playhouse. Now there was a period where my Saturday mornings, not after, I never got out of the cartoons at all. I was always watching cartoons on Saturday mornings. But I remember there was a period where Pee-wee's Playhouse was at 10 a.m., 10 to 10:30, and then something else was on, and then at 11, wrestling was on, and then at noon, American Gladiators was on. So I was zoned in to Pee-wee's Playhouse, something for a half hour, I can't remember. Wrestling, it was WWF Superstars of Wrestling. It was the the Saturday morning show. So Pee-wee, something, Wrestling Superstars, and American Gladiators was my Saturday late morning, mid afternoon. And I was a little older. And I don't know how I hung in there with Pee-wee's Playhouse. I watched it every weekend, and I'm not sure why. I own the set, and I tried going back with my kids and watching the set, and Liam anyways, didn't have a lot of interest in Pee-wee's Playhouse. The 4-year-old did, but not enough interest to be like, oh, let's watch that. I mean, they haven't talked about it since. So I don't know what the hook was with Pee-wee's Playhouse back when we were kids, but I loved it, and I need the Playhouse. So that's item number 1. Item number 2. Here's an example of a Grail that's not expensive, and probably not hard to find. One I've seen many, many, many times. But back in the day with Atari, you had so right around, I don't know if it was right at the beginning of Atari or middle of it, I'll have to look back, but there's a collector's case. There is a brown wood-grained style plasticky laminate case for your Atari games, and they would only hold, what are you laughing about? They would only hold probably like, you're sneezing? Yeah. You're trying very hard not to sneeze. They would only hold about 8 cartridges. But the idea would be that you would store your cartridges in these collector's books, and then you'd store them as books. And they looked like really nice books. And I think they had labels on the outside where you could write in if you were alphabetizing your games, you could write in, A to C on your, I don't know, but they're beautiful. They're very nice. Obviously being an 80s fan, I like the wood grain look. I think console TVs are beautiful pieces of furniture. And so a nice shelf full of, 8 or 10 Atari wood grained book storage things, I love them. I want one. I want maybe 2. Coinciding with that, I would like the Atari wood-grained cabinet, the actual, and they made this for Nintendo later on, and I think they made it for Nintendo 64, and they might have made it for, no, they didn't make it for PlayStation, but they made it for Nintendo 64. A plastic cabinet, right? And of course, Atari's was wood grain, and it's got that clear plexiglass top on it, and you keep your Atari dust free in this thing, and of course that's important. And that's a nice item. It's a bigger item. It's a pretty solid. It almost reminds me of like the VCR trays, the VCR storage boxes that you would have. So the Atari book, the Atari storage book, and the Atari storage cabinet are on my Grail list. Okay, we talked when we were doing the 1984 catalog. I first introduced to you NFL Huddles. I was a Dallas Cowboys fan when I was a kid, probably up until the end of the 90s era. When Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, and Michael Irvin and Jimmy Johnson went away, the Cowboys weren't the Cowboys anymore. So I pretty much stopped caring, and kind of stopped caring about football in general. But I was a huge Cowboys fan in the 90s. And the late 80s, and I think I got turned on to the Cowboys by a cousin, maybe that's how it always happens. You're like 5 years old. I went over my cousin's house. I think he had a Dallas Cowboys sweatshirt on, and I was like, ooh, I like the Cowboys too. And then it stuck. And back in the 90s, it was all about the gear and the starter hats and the jerseys, and I was right along with that, rocking my Troy Aikman number 8 jersey to school with my Cowboys starter hats, and then they started they would put out 3. I forget the company. It wasn't New Era. It might have been Apex or something, but they would put out 3 hats a year that you'd see on the sideline. I remember like the shark tooth style hat, and I don't know. They're great stuff. So I was always into that. But as a kid, in these catalogs, I would always see these Huddles. And they're basically toy stuffed animal versions of the NFL mascot. And I don't know how, identical it was, or what, but the Dallas Cowboys had a Huddle that was a cowboy. He was a cowboy. And he was, had the helmet on, and I just thought they were great. And I never got one as a kid. I never got a Huddle as a kid. I don't know why. It's probably one of those easy Christmas gifts that I should have gotten, but I didn't. And that's one of those things that's always just been sitting there waiting. It's like the item that you always put in your cart or your watch list and you just never buy. That's the Huddles for me. I never got them, and they're not expensive. I almost got one off the marketplace a couple of weeks ago, and I talked about that in the catalog episode. I found one locally. I wasn't even looking. It just popped up on my marketplace list. Actually, this lady was selling a lot of 80s, like a batch of 80s toys, and they were junk, nothing that I wanted. But I noticed a Huddle, and so I messaged her and I said, "Hey, can I get the Huddle for $10?" And she said, "Sure." And right as I was heading out there, I texted her and said, "I'm coming," and she said, "I can't find the Huddle." Right? So that's that. No Huddle. But because of that, it is now I need one. I almost got one. Now I need one. Dallas Cowboys NFL Huddle is on the Grail list. Okay, moving along. I was a big, I still am a big bowling fan. And as a kid, I had every single bowling toy there was. I had multiple sets of plastic bowling pins. I had electronic bowling games. I remember one that I have, and I actually put it away. When I put away the board games, I put this away, and I really shouldn't have put it away. It needs to be out here. But it's it's like this long, and you kind of like, you like flick a lever and the little ball. I got that. I've got this thing called Snap Bowling, Snap Action Bowling, which is huge. I mean, it's like a 4-foot game. Loved that. Had a ton of bowling stuff. And when I was like preschool age, I got this thing. I'm going to call it Snoopy Bowling. I know it's not called Snoopy. It's by Play School. I think it's called My Pal Snoopy. And so basically what it was, and you can see in the pictures, what it was this Snoopy, plastic Snoopy figure with a mechanical arm, right? And his hand was cupped. And so you put a ball in his arm, and you pull it back, and you throw it, and the ball comes out of his hand. And there's pins, obviously. There's pins, and so that's what it is. It's Snoopy bowls, right? You work the arm, and Snoopy throws. Now, of course, it never worked. I mean, because you'd have to be close enough to the pins to actually hit them with the ball, and if you put the hand in a different position, it would throw the ball over the pins. But the box is just such a memory inducer, right? Looking at that box, because you stored it in the box because it was so big. The Snoopy was huge, and so you kept the box so you could put the Snoopy back in the box with all the bowling pins and put it away. So that was one of the items that I remember that I always had the box for at my grandma's, and I need that. And there have been so many opportunities for me to get that over the years, but the boxes are always destroyed. They're always in such bad shape that I need a good shaped box. I've seen some at flea markets that were way overpriced for the shape of the box. They're not aplenty on eBay. They're not always easy to grab. I don't even know if one is listed now, but the My Pal Snoopy bowling set is a Grail item. Over the top figures. Sylvester Stallone. I was a big Sly Stallone fan. I am a huge Rocky fan. I think that's the greatest movie franchise in the world. And I loved Over the Top. I absolutely loved Over the Top. In fact, I don't know why, but I haven't had I didn't have the Blu-ray, but I grabbed it either from like the Best Buy $5 dump bin, or I got it on Amazon. I can't remember, but I love the Over the Top movie. I love it. I think it's great. I love it. And shockingly, there was an action figure line for Over the Top. And I am lucky enough to have like the 16-inch, you can't see it, I'm pointing, but you can't see it, the 16-inch giant Rocky Over the Top figure in box. But the smaller figures are the pricey ones. Very, very pricey. And there's like 4 or 5, I think. And then there's a table. There's an arm wrestling table. And they're steep. They are expensive. But I think that's a great line. It's obviously a forgotten line. And, because it's so forgotten, because it is so, I can't think of the word, but so focused on like one, like, how many kids loved arm wrestling when they were 10, right? So you got to be really into either Stallone or the movie or arm wrestling in order to have even wanted those. And so what happens when that happens? You think, oh, you'll just get them for 30 cents. No, that drives the price up through the roof, and they're expensive, and they're hard to come by. But I would like those. I would like that's probably the most expensive, slightly out of reach item on this Grail list, the Over the Top figures. As I say that, another Grail item that might be leaning towards a Holy Grail is the Rocky Balboa Bop Bag, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, a bop bag. You guys know what a bop bag is. It's it's a punching bag, right? You get it. Your dad sits there on the couch for 45 minutes and blows it up, and then passes out. Right? Has a stroke of some kind because he just blew up this massive bop bag for you. It's got some sand in the bottom, and you punched it. You punched it, and it'd come back, and you'd punch it again. But if you were a lunatic child like me, you wrestled it, and so by the end of Christmas morning, it was broken because you jumped off the couch on it, or you body slammed it, or suplexed it, and you broke it. So. I never had the Rocky Bop Bag. I believe this is like 1981 or 82. and it is steep. It's another $200 or $300 item if you can find it. If you can find it. And it usually comes with the box, because this is usually a collector's piece. All right? Because obviously, you get the bop bag, you toss out the box, and the bop bag is broken within 5 days. Okay? You got tape all over it. My mom used to tape the bop bags for us. And so to find one, in a box, maybe never even used, that somehow came from a collector, and so they're not putting it up there for $20. These are usually buy it now items, $2.99, $3.99. I've seen them for, but the Rocky Bop Bag is on the list. We're gonna save. I'll save one for last because it's a maybe, and I'll talk about why it's a maybe. The next thing that I want to add to this collection is the Dukes of Hazzard's Barn Busters playset. All right, another $250 item or so. Dukes of Hazzard was one of the first television shows that I remember watching and caring about and wanting to watch weekly. Dukes of Hazzard, The Incredible Hulk, and The Greatest American Hero were very, very early television shows for me that I was like, is the Dukes of Hazzard on? Is The Greatest American Hero? Everything else you'd watch would just be kind of forgotten as you watched it. But those three shows I wanted to watch like each week. I think that's when I started knowing what time and what channel stuff was on. Dukes of Hazzard, definitely one of them. And of course there's toys. There's some very important toys, as you can see over my shoulder. Some of the Mego figures and this. In fact, this might even be from the Barn Busters playset. I'm not sure. This might just be a wind-up, or this might actually be from the Barn Busters playset. I'll have to look. But the deal with the Dukes was they were always jumping ramps and crashing through stuff, and so the Barn Busters playset, continues that theme of jumping a ramp and busting through some hay bales or some barns or whatever. You can see in the picture. And it's a beautiful box. It is a beautiful box. And if all of these things that I'm talking about come with boxes, must have box with it. The Barn Busters playset is just a car and some plastic parts without the box. With the box, it's a beautiful piece of art, right? It's a display piece. That's on the list. Next on the list is, something that really, really will have to trigger some of your memories. Many of you are probably going to say, what is he talking about? In fact, when I first started remembering this item, I didn't even know if it was real. I couldn't think of the name. I could not remember the name of this thing. I didn't know if this was a dream, if this was a real item, if I was just having the... But I remember as a kid, very, very young, probably 6, maybe 6 or 7. Definitely pre-wrestling figures, definitely. So maybe 6, 6.5, 7. I started remembering doing something with aluminum foil, right, and cars, okay? And I was like, what was it? And I remembered that the aluminum foil, you would take the piece of aluminum foil, you would wrap it around a car mold, right? And the aluminum foil would then come out looking like a car. And then you would crush that aluminum foil, okay? And was this my favorite toy of all time? No, of course not. But I want it because I had it and because it is such an elusive item. I'm talking about, and after some research, I got the name of it. It's called the Clyde's Car Crusher. Okay? Clyde's Car Crusher. I don't know who Clyde is, but this is the Clyde's Car Crusher. And like I said, you would take foil, you would put it on a car mold, it would come out as a car, a truck, whatever they had, and you would put it through this machine, this plastic machine. You'd put it on a conveyor belt, and you would crank the machine, and the car would go into the machine, and the machine would crush the car. And then it would just it would just spit it out as this little ball of foil. That's it. That's Clyde's Card Crusher. That's it, right? Foil gets crushed into a ball, you're done. And then you just repeat over and over again. That was lost in my mind for years until it started to come clear, and I found the name of it, Clyde's Card Crusher. Usually that's a $300 item. There's one on eBay right now with a $199 buy it now with a best offer. And I'm going to watch it for a couple of weeks. And if that sits on the eBay at $199 for a couple of weeks with no offers and no buy it nows, I'm going to offer that person significantly less and see if they jump. I'm probably going to come in at like $139 and see what they say. And if they, even if they come back at like $169, that's a steal. Because I've only ever seen these go for $300. Clyde's Card Crusher, a Grail. When we talked about the 1984 catalog, briefly, we talked about an item called the Air Jammer Road Rammer. That is a Grail item that has always just been right there in my eBay watch list, and I never get it. And it's, again, if it's an auction, you could probably steal it for $15. If it's a buy it now, you're probably at like $39.99 or something. With box. Of course, with box. Very, very plain box. Take a look at the box. It's probably a picture somewhere. Very, very plain box. And the car is very plain. And it's a car, it's a little car. Kind of a dune buggy type of thing. And it came with a hand pump, an air pump, and you would pump air into the car. There was a release mechanism, boom, and the car would take off. And it took off. It was pretty good. It was fast. They had the Air Jammer Road Rammer, and I remember having the motorcycle. That was called the Air Jammer Cycle Slammer. And again, another item that's always sitting in my watch list. It's not expensive. If it was an auction, I could probably get it for like $15. And if it's a buy it now, unfortunately, it's like $39 or so. But not expensive, and something that I must have. In fact, I've got such a memory of that. In the neighborhood, there was a little boy that came over. There was a friend. I mean, I was a little boy, obviously. I wasn't a grown adult having a little boy over anyway. A kid came over, my friend. My friend came over, and we were, of course, as all kids, we were running the Air Jammer down the stairs, right? So we were at the top of the stair. And these things were durable, obviously. Very, very almost really thick, rubbery type of item. So it wasn't going to break. And we would run the Air Jammer off the top of the stairs, crashing and flipping. Well, this packed a lot of power, and this kid pumped it up and released it. Instead of going down the stairs, it took a turn. It went down the stairs, but it crashed into the door frame, right, of the downstairs. There was another room, and there was a door frame, and it chipped the door frame, right? It chipped it. Paint fell off, and there was a gouge in our door. And that kid ran out of our house. My mom yelled, and the kid ran out of the house and down, 3 houses down to his house, and probably threw himself under his bed. And that was the end of that. The Air Jammer Road Rammer down the stairs game ended. So I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to bring the Road Rammer back to the house. I'm going to run him down my stairs, and I'm going to gouge the heck out of my walls because they're my walls now, Mom. That's why we don't talk today. Air Jammer Road Rammer. Now, the final item is a maybe item. I have not thought about these things in so long, and it would take so much research because this was an extensive collection. Fisher-Price's Adventure People. I had Fisher-Price's Adventure People probably from age 4 to maybe 7. I had a little collection of them. And I remember an orange and yellow Jeep, and I remember a canoe, or a kayak. I think it was a kayak. And I remember a parachute guy. Of course, you remember, you wrap the plastic parachute around the guy, you throw him in the air. ideally, the parachute opens and he drifts down to Earth. What kid ever got that right? You know, the parachute would just go up in the air, barely open, and fall on the ground. But adventure people were a big part of my early, like preschool years. And there's so many. I remember a motorcycle. I mean, there a camping set, maybe like a tent. Adventure people were extensive, right? So I don't even know, like, would I dive headfirst into the collection and get them all? No. I would definitely want that orange and yellow Jeep. I would definitely want a kayak, and I would definitely want, the parachute. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is the New 80s Revolution Grail list, the 2020 version of the Grail list. And you guys will be a part of me completing definitely some of this Grail list in the upcoming year. If any of you guys have any of these items laying around your mom's house, the attic, the basement, and you'd like to make some money, let me know. Let me know, and I will. We'll work something out. And I'll purchase one of these items from you. Hopefully, I can find them. Not just on eBay. It's always nice to find them at a toy show or a flea market or from you guys or whatever. So yeah, that's the Grail show. Christmas continues, even though it's not even December yet. We're right in the midst of it. Ask my jammies. My jammies are right in the midst of their Christmas existence, and we will be back with more. We'll be back with more Christmas shows. Who's that poking up over my shoulder? Is that no, that's Liam. We'll be back with more Christmas-themed shows coming up. In fact, what do we have coming up? I had a list of... grab me that list over there underneath the DVDs.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, we've got we did the holiday decor tour. We did the toy catalog review. We just did the My Grail list. We still need to do my top 10 Christmas presents of all time. We need to do the Christmas food staples of my family today and yesteryear. And then it will culminate with the memories of Christmas, a very special Back to the 80s episode. All of my Christmas memories wrapped up in one neat little 7-hour package. Until then, for Liam...
Did you know, guys? Today, always on Sunday, we have a me and Daddy, and we go bowling.
Yes, we do. Today's our bowling league.
Yeah.
And
Are you ready to kick some butt?
I'm ready to kick some butt. We're going to go bowling in about 2 hours.
Yep.
And we're gonna rock it. All right.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to shoot 300.
Till next time, ladies and gentlemen. New 80s Revolution saying a good night now.